My brother framed me for a crime I didn't commit. My parents abandoned me. He rose. I fell. But I didn't fight back. Not right away. Instead, I waited, learned, watched, and when the time was right, I let him destroy himself while I took back everything he stole from me. My name is Eli Graves. I'm 27 years old, and I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. But if you ask anyone from back home, they'll say, "Who?" That's because in my family, I was never seen, not really. My brother, Nathan, was the light. And I was the shadow. He was 3 years older. Captain of the varsity football team, student council president, class valedictorian. He even got into Stanford. Everything he touched turned to gold. And my parents, God, they worshipped him. Me? I liked to read. I played piano. I got BS. I had asthma. I wasn't broken, just boring. That's how they treated me. Still, I loved them. I idolized Nathan. Even when he teased me, called me backup son or plan B, I laughed along. That was our dynamic. But everything changed the day my dad said the words. "One day, one of you will take over the family business." Nathan smirked. I smiled. But inside, I knew I never stood a chance. The trouble began after I graduated college. I studied business administration at a local community college, worked nights at my dad's construction firm. I didn't mind hard work. I liked learning. I was trying to prove myself. That's when it started, whispers around the office. Files missing. Expenses not matching. Payments redirected. Then came the audit. It was brutal. I was called into the boardroom. My dad, our accountant, 2 lawyers, Nathan, and my mom sat around me. They laid out the evidence. $160,000 missing from subcontractor accounts. Authorizations under my login. My signature, digitally forged, but believable. And worst of all, footage from the loading bay, someone in a hoodie, face obscured, with my walk and my coat, handing off a box to a contractor who later went bankrupt. I was stunned. My voice cracked when I spoke. "This isn't me. You know this isn't me." Nathan looked shocked. He even put a hand on my shoulder and said, "Eli, if you needed money, why didn't you come to me?" My father's face went red. He slammed his hand on the table. "You're dead to me." That night, they cleared out my desk. My mother didn't hug me. She couldn't even look at me. I packed my bags and left the only home I had ever known. I moved to Chicago. I slept in a shelter for the first week. Then I got a job washing dishes at a late-night diner. I rented a room from a grumpy old lady who didn't ask questions. I kept my head down. I didn't even use my real name. Every night, I'd stare at the ceiling and replay the scene in the boardroom, Nathan's fake sympathy, my dad's fury, my mom's silence. I fell into a depression so deep, I didn't speak to another human being unless I had to. Then one night, I Googled Nathan's name out of curiosity. He had taken over the company. My dad had retired for health reasons. Nathan was now CEO. He'd just bought a $900,000 house. He was doing interviews, podcasts. He was praised as a self-made genius. My blood boiled. But I didn't act out. I did something better. I enrolled in night classes at a community college under a new name, Eric Taylor. I started learning everything about finance, auditing, and corporate fraud. I got certified in forensic accounting. I interned at a white-collar crime investigation firm. I became very good at finding the cracks people thought were invisible. All while Nathan thought I was gone forever. 3 years later, I was ready. Nathan's company, Graves Contracting, was growing fast. Too fast. Fast growth means sloppy systems, vulnerabilities. So I applied as a third-party forensic auditor. I used a new identity, a full fake resume, a new look, clean haircut, 30 pounds lighter, suit and tie, glasses, deepened voice. Within a week, I was hired on a 60-day internal contract. When I walked into that boardroom again, Nathan shook my hand and said, "Eric, right? Welcome to the family. I smiled. He didn't recognize me. For the next 2 months, I did my job on paper. But in reality, I was quietly following trails. Dummy accounts in Belize and the Caymans, kickbacks disguised as consulting fees, fake vendors that funneled money back to Nathan's personal holdings, retirement funds rerouted into shell corporations. I even found my own frame-up, the digital trails he used to fake my login, recreate my signature, and plant the surveillance footage. It wasn't just betrayal. It was artistry. And now I had the entire gallery. I could have gone to the police. But no, that was too easy. Too silent. Nathan had humiliated me publicly. So I returned the favor. It was the 30-year anniversary of Graves contracting. A massive celebration held in a luxury hotel ballroom. Champagne. Reporters. Politicians. Investors. Nathan was giving his legacy speech. My parents were there. My dad, now frail and quiet, sat with my mom, still pretending to be proud. Right as Nathan raised his glass to family, I walked up on stage. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to reintroduce myself. I'm Eli, Nathan's brother. Gasps. Flashes of cameras. Nathan's jaw tightened. Security. I held up a thick binder. This is a full forensic report detailing fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering committed by your CEO. I passed copies to every reporter in the front row. He didn't just steal from the company, he stole from retirement accounts, from charity partners, from our own father. Then I turned to my parents. And 3 years ago, he framed me for his crimes. There was silence. Until someone yelled, "You lying piece of..." But I'd already dropped the mic. The next morning, the IRS raided Graves contracting. Nathan was arrested for wire fraud, tax evasion, and obstruction. He tried to deny it, but I had every password, IP log, and receipt. He was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. My parents? They tried to contact me. My mother left voicemails every day. My dad even cried when he called me. I didn't answer. You see, the real revenge wasn't the arrest. It was the silence. The knowledge that they chose him. That they discarded me. And that the disappointment they threw away became the one thing they couldn't ignore. I live by the lake now. Small place. Peaceful. Quiet. I still get calls from media. Publishers. Podcasts. I turn them all down. Because this wasn't about fame. It was about justice. And justice doesn't need a spotlight. It just needs patience. And silence. Because sometimes the most savage revenge is letting them destroy themselves while you rebuild everything they took. What would you have done if your own brother framed you? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to Savage Diaries for more shocking revenge stories.